Have you ever wondered why so many new homes that are being built across Africa look like this sleek, minimal European villa vibe? Even though Africa holds some of the richest architectural identities in the world, why do our skylines aim to resemble Dubai, London, Qatar, America, anything Western? And more importantly, what would our cities look like if African culture, climate, and creativity actually shaped the blueprint? Today, you guys, we're diving into the organization that's answering all of these questions with boldness. Welcome to CPDI Africa, the Center of Art, Design, and Innovation, founded by award-winning designer and visionary Nmadili Okwumabua, who I have the honor of interviewing for you all today. For almost 3 decades, CBDI has been researching, documenting, and designing Afrocentric modern architecture. Not as a trend, you guys. This is a movement. She is bringing Africa back into African architecture, from residential homes to commercial complexes to entire developments and planned communities. CPDI has worked to develop floor plans, everything to make it very easy for you to integrate this into home building. You all across the continent, millions of people are building new estates, new apartments, new malls, new cities, and relying on imported design languages that ignore our local climate, the materials, the culture, and the identity. But CPDI is challenging that. And they have created a catalog of Afro-modern floor plans and sustainable architectural concepts inspired from different regions all across Africa. The earthen elegance, the geometric patterns, coastal minimalism, bold carved forms, y'all. These plans were beautiful for me to look at. In the heart of it all was Mlay, a powerhouse who has been pioneering this work since 1994. Long before Afrofuturism and Wakanda became a global conversation, she was traveling, documenting, studying how our ancestors built for heat, airflow, community, privacy, safety, and I had the honor of entering her haven, you all, where she holds all of this here in Abuja. She provides information, she provides plans, you all. Y'all are gonna love this. Make sure that you check her out. And please, if you are a developer, anyone you know is a developer, share this because I would love to see more of her work around.
We know that we have all these countries, 54 countries that were created in Berlin. They're not real countries because each of these borders houses sometimes hundreds of countries within it. Like Nigeria has about 250 countries within it. So African architecture is the label, but when you pinpoint, it becomes, like I said, Nupe architecture or Urobo or Zulu or Luo, right? So I'm picking ethnic groups from the different regions. The architecture is defined by the ethnicities. Some of them are similar, but some of them are very, very different, right? So that's how I will define African architecture. It's not one language, it's many languages under this heading. Even if I said Nigerian architecture, there's no Nigerian architecture. The architecture is of the Yoruba.
You have to be very tribe specific.
Yes, because those are the people who were creating the design languages. Nigeria is 100 and something, 1914 we were created, independent since 1960. So maybe we could sit down, the architects of Nigeria could sit down and say, okay, let's create a new language that blends different elements from different ethnic groups and come up with this new Nigerian language that when you see it, oh, I'm in Nigeria, this is Nigerian architecture.
Okay.
When you go to Ghana, oh, this is Ghanaian.
But it would have to be like a concerted effort,
Yes.
basically, to
Yes.
agree and
Yes.
kind
Yes.
of
Yes.
consolidate.
Yes. Yes. There's so much work to be done. One of the stories I say, the president of the American Institute of Architects visited here last year, and she was hard pressed to take photographs because, like, the buildings aren't saying what they really need to be saying. Why? And so when I brought her to my research hub, she was like, That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what's missing.
I have found a gem here in this Abuja. A woman who is here truly making changes. And I don't even want to say too much. I'm going to let you introduce yourself. But y'all get ready to be like very impressed.
Introductions?
Introduce yourself.
Nmadili Okwumabua. Hi, everyone. I am Nmadili Okwumabua. I'm the director of CPDI Africa. That's the Community Planning and Design Initiative Africa. Brittany, you're amazing.
Nmadili, could you please tell us your ethnicity, your background? Like, let's start off because there's something that I really love about you and find very relatable.
Yes. Okay. So I am Nigerian American. My dad is from Delta State here in Nigeria, and my mom is from Memphis, Tennessee. So I am channeling both sides of my DNA from either side of the pond of the Atlantic.
You know, the term Nigerian American is so loaded for me because when you think of a Nigerian American, it could be a Nigerian who has moved to America and become American by nationality. It could be a Nigerian in America who has never been to Nigeria, but both of their parents are Nigerian. It's just so loaded. So like when I think of Bliss, who is African American heritage, as well as a Nigerian father, I don't know if I would call her Nigerian American, but she is.
Yes. There are levels. When you got to America, how long you've been there, when you traveled for the first time to Africa, were you born here? Again, when did you arrive in the States? 10 years ago, 50 years ago, 400 years ago. But our DNA still connects all the way back to Nigeria. So in terms of identity, I think it's just being in the space and picking up some of those traits that we still practice in Nigeria, in Africa, and then that just gives you your identity back. That's kind of how I see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that growing up with two different cultures?
It was interesting. So I've always thought I was a Nigerian because born in America, grew up in Nigeria, moved back to America. Now I'm back in Nigeria. My mom is African American. So it's only recently that I started realizing that I'm actually probably more African American than I am Nigerian because you are the product of your mother. It's our mothers that raise us.
Yeah.
So I think my operating system is actually African American. But I'm presenting as a Nigerian half the time because yes, my name is Nigerian, my dad is Igbo, my village is over there in Delta State.
Yeah.
But
which is very like anti-Nigerian thinking.
Yeah.
I would say because even for me, Shola and I have had this conversation because I'm like, what is Bliss's state of origin? And I would think it would be Abuja because that's where she is born. But it's Delta, even though Shola was not even born in Delta. He was born in Benin City. So I'm like, where is this state of origin coming from? You weren't born there, Bliss,
Right,
and he's
right.
like, well, my grandpa,
Right.
and the patriarchal, and I'm like,
Yeah. That's where it starts, is from where your lineage is from. So like in America, it's like, I think where you're born.
where you're born.
Where you claim. Okay, I was born in Atlanta, okay. But here is where your ancestors are from. So you could be born anywhere. But when you say your last name immediately attaches you to a community, a place.
So even Americans, Nigerians in America who have never been to Nigeria, like, oh, what's your state of origin? Delta State?
Yes.
You can't even point to it on the map. That's crazy. So let's dive into you. You have been championing for Afrocentric architecture, according to my research, since 1994.
Yes.
Yeah. What sparked this mission?
Okay.
And what has kept you committed to this mission for the past 30 years?
What a journey. 1994, I was a third-year student in architecture in Atlanta, Georgia. I was a member of the National Organization of Minority Architects, which is the association of architects, who are African American and also people of color now. student member. We took off to our annual conference at Howard. And while there, I listened to a professor, Professor David Hughes, speak on his recent publication on Afrocentric architecture. He had toured the entire continent of Africa, getting evidence of buildings that were inspired by African culture and aesthetics and spirituality. And it was the first time I'd ever seen anybody talk about architecture from an African perspective, from a Black perspective. 3 years of design school, we'd never learned about Black architects. It was always, Frank Lloyd Wright, Corbusier, all the European greats. If they want to talk about Africa, they might mention the pyramids for those who wants to claim that Egypt was actually in Africa. So it was the first time I'd ever seen, I was like, oh my God, when people have architecture. So I went back to school and said, okay, I'm going to remember I'm from Nigeria. I'm going to remember I'm Igbo. I'm going to put some culture and aesthetics into my project that semester. And that's when I was told African people haven't really thought past mud huts and thatch roofs. What we do is copy other people's culture in our built environment. So what you're trying to do, Madly, in fast tracking this evolution of African design, you don't really have the authority just yet to do that. Your people are not there yet.
There's no backing.
There's no backing. Your community hasn't validated what you're trying to do.
It's a waste.
Yes.
That is awful.
Right. So that's kind of my story, how I got into Afrocentric. I was like, oh, no. I'm going to push through this. I'm going to prove this guy wrong. And if he's right, I want to know why he might be right. Right. So part of the journey continues from there. But that's how 30 years later, I created CPDI Africa.
Wow. Looking back on your early work, what's something that you were advocating during the 90s and early 2000s that the world is finally understanding now?
Okay. Well, I always say that I'm standing on great shoulders, right? I didn't come up with this conversation. I got it from my mentors, two of them, Dimas Wonko and David Hughes. They had already been championing Afrocentric architecture, in Dimas's case, Nigerian-centric architecture. So I was just picking up the baton. They had already done designs, built, taught, published, and I just came in to give it a fresh face and to popularize a conversation for my age group that had kind of gotten quiet because Dimas Wonko is turning 90 next month.
Wow.
Professor Hughes is in his late 70s. So that gap, there was a gap in knowledge transfer. So that's kind of what I did. I brought
You were letting them pass you the torch.
Yes. Yes.
The baton to keep racing on.
Yes.
During that marathon.
Yes. And I'm so excited to pass it to the next. But my female mentors, I will start with Carolyn Armenta Davis, an honorary architect. She started the first traveling exhibition of African architecture. So that was a few decades ago. Now, the ladies that I'm kind of looking up to are younger professionals on the scene. And I'll just give one name, Miriam Kamara. She's doing great things here in West Africa.
Wow. How did your parents and your upbringing influence your view of African culture? I'm sorry, African, let me read. How did your parents and your personal background influence your view of African architecture?
Okay. Parents, being Nigerian and American, in my family, the four of us, my siblings and I, grew up always looking at life through two different lenses, the African American and you could say the African or the Nigerian, and when you drill down, the Igbo. So in our DNA, we're constantly having these conversations of how the two are the same and how they need to come back together in reality because we know what separated us. So blending the diaspora story is just part of my life. Collard greens and cornbread, bitter leaf soup.
Are these realizations that you came to later, or were these conversations that your parents had with you throughout?
It was just regular. Growing up, it wasn't focused on because we were just living. Mom was like, I didn't even realize that I had an American operating system in me till recently, right? So we're just living. What was normal in my house, I did not realize was not normal in my friend's house. Cornbread, turkey and dressing, the way we celebrated Christmas.
Like your mom's not like, this is Black people food.
No.
Like,
No.
you're just eating. Yeah.
I'm just eating, right?
Yeah.
So either today the menu is mac and cheese and hamburgers. Tomorrow is a guano soup. That was just life. And that blend just became my identity. And so it showed up in my profession later on. In architecture, okay, so what is Nigerian architecture? What's African architecture? What's African American architecture?
And that was my next question. What would you coin as African American architecture?
Right. So
do we have an architecture?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We could highlight it, we could spotlight it a whole lot more. But African Americans, their culture comes from, or our culture, today, you see how I will switch back and forth, comes from West Africa. We were all taken from West Africa. So African American culture is a medley of all the different ethnic groups that were taken away from West Africa. So you're gonna see bits of Igbo culture in African American culture. You see bits of Yoruba.
Very much like the
Congo.
food.
Yes. Yes. So, and it's a blend, right? I'll come back to architecture. So my mom says when she got to Nigeria for the first time back in the 70s, she saw people eating fufu and soup with their hands, take the fufu and dip it in, it reminded her of growing up long time ago in Tennessee when we would eat cornbread and collard greens, just like that. You take the cornbread and you sop it into the collard green juice and scoop up some greens.
Hungry.
But this was an Africanism.
Yeah.
That got carried over and stayed in the culture, and we didn't know. So when she got here, she was like, "That's how we eat collard greens and cornbread." That was our adaptation of fufu and soup, or eba or pounded yam and soup. So those Africanisms actually translate all through African American culture. It's only when you come to Africa a lot of times that you would know, okay, that's where we get it from. That's why we're doing that. But we don't remember why. Why do we pour libations in African American videos? My homie that's been killed by the police or whatever. Why are you doing that? In Africa, when you pour in that libation, it's actually because somebody is buried there and you're remembering them.
Wow. I never had known about remembrances until I came here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, being on this continent has made me look at death as a celebration more than like mourning, which is something that I think they do heavily in New Orleans.
Yes. And that's
but not like all over. Yeah.
That's an Africanism.
In your words, what is Afrocentric architecture?
Afrocentric architecture is the translation of our culture, our aesthetics, our spirituality, building materials that we use, and the community engagement into the built environment. Those 5 elements, which I coined for CPDI, the 5 elements of Afrocentric architecture, that if you translate those 5 elements into the built environment, culture by culture, you will create authentic Afrocentric architecture. So for example, Ishekiri, what's the culture of the Ishekiri? How was that culture translated into their built environment in the past? Their spirituality, the aesthetics. When you see it, you know it. Okay, that's an Ishekiri form or pattern, okay, or motif. Ishekiri materials, building materials. How did the Ishekiri come together, men, women, and children, and build their homes and their communities? So when you reflect that culture by culture, you will create Afrocentric architecture. It's Ishekiri-centered architecture, or Ashanti-centered architecture, or Igbo-centered, right?
Yeah.
So it's culture by culture, and they're all unique.
What would you say are some misunderstandings that people have when you're using this phrase?
They think I'm talking about a very big mud hut with a thatch roof, and I'm taking them back into the past, into the materials and philosophies of their great, great, great grandparents. That often has a negative stigma attached to it, left from the colonial days. So they're thinking, I'm trying to carry people back into the past. And I'm like, no, Afrocentric is the modernization. It's the evolution and transformation. And I got that from Nmadili. the evolution and transformation of our architectural languages. That's what Afrocentric architecture is. Not in the past, it's the modern.
So it's almost a assumption of traditionalism being equated to Afrocentric.
Yes.
Like, why
Yes.
does let's not even say traditional, ancient. Or am I hit?
So ancient is the beginning. Traditions do evolve, practices do evolve. Like I would venture to say that maybe the way egusi soup is cooked today and the way it tastes is not exactly as it was 1,000 years ago. It's been changing and evolving, even if it's just a little. But it's taking something that's from our past and building upon it. Every society has done that, right? So whatever you have that is African or European, French, Scottish, whatever, you're taking your traditions and you're slowly modernizing them. And that's what you get today. You're also going around the world borrowing great ideas from other people and augmenting your own, right? So, like a lot in America is actually culturally appropriated because America is made up of a mix of everybody, especially African people, right? So, a lot of innovation and ideas and creativity that were brought into America to build America was actually African because Africans built America. So one of my students that had a research assignment one day, a student of one of my professors that I trained, once she was exposed to African patterns and motifs, she knew what they looked like. The assignment was to go home to Savannah, Georgia, and take pictures of some of the older spaces in the city, the downtown areas. And then she comes back crying that, oh my gosh, why am I finding Adinkra symbols everywhere? Oh, because Africans
were writing, almost like writing home. Like,
yes,
yeah.
We built Africa. So of course, if you give me a project and ask me to put some patterns on it, I'm going to put the patterns that I know.
That you know.
But now when you see those patterns, because we no longer recognize them as Adinkra or Ashanti, we call them American patterns.
Yeah.
So an African element has been culturally appropriated into American culture. So once we begin to remember or begin to know, because we come to Africa, we go around, we see, we experience, then we're back in America and we're like, wait a minute. That's from,
yeah.
How did that get here? Oh, that's right. We brought it 500, 400 years ago. Oh, and now it's being called American. And if we're lucky, if we're really lucky, it's African American, right? In music, nobody can challenge us. When you hear those beats and those rhythms, the hip hop, the rhythm and blues, the soul music, when you hear our music, you know it's African music. You've given it to the African Americans because it is theirs. It's African music. It is our translation of those rhythms and beats that we brought years ago, right? So there are things that they're Africanisms that we still recognize in our African American culture, but there's more. And for me, that is, if I were to interpret that into architecture, what would African American architecture look like?
I see. And sometimes it's more subtle and sometimes it's more obvious.
Colonial impact is one level. The other level for architecture in a built environment, and so many things, is that the curriculums are training us. We're outward facing, right? So I go to school, I spend 5, 10 years, whatever, get my license as an architect. And what I'm being trained in is British architecture or French or German. So what am I going to build when I get contracts after I graduate and get jobs? It's going to be that.
What feels natural.
Yeah.
What was really interesting when I was walking around and looking at all of the architecture that you have on the walls, many of these students are not African.
Yes. When we launched the competition, the idea was to make it African only, Black only, right? Since it's our story. But one of my partners said, no, let's open it up to everyone.
Yeah.
And
but they still came with African.
They came with it.
Ideas, like very well.
They did their research. The Vietnamese, the Russians, the British, they did their research on traditional design philosophies and came up with these prototypes that were incredible. And that's what we wanted. We wanted to break come out the box, inspire architects on ground to have the confidence to research their own cultures and come up with something new and not be ashamed.
I was going to say it almost would like instill a pride. Like, this German guy is loving this. Like, let me really show them because I'm the true Nigerian.
Yeah.
Like, that would like amp me.
And
up a
that's
little.
that's what happened. So our first one was in 2015. A lot of the Europeans cleaned house. They took all the awards, took all the money. The Africans were watching.
Oh, that money! Excuse me.
Money.
What's going on?
A Vietnamese girl won first place. Mai Dao Lee Hong, first place. She. But when the Black architects saw what they did in 2015, they were like, oh, "Okay, Nmadili, we got you." So 2017,
they showed out. I love that for us.
It's been like that since then.
So you created your organization to connect and elevate African architectural talent. What gap did you feel like you saw? Like, what were some examples of things that were just like, I've got to do this?
So the first thing, working in America as an urban planner, as a facility manager, as a designer, working in America, a space where everything is like, trying to be perfect. And then I would come home to Nigeria on vacation and just wondering, what happened? Did they drop a bomb here? Just like, why is okay? So I realized that there's a lot of work to be done here. So come here and contribute. Come here.
Building a platform like this must really come with challenges. What has been the hardest part of convincing the world that African talent is world class and so are African architecture designs?
It's reprogramming people's minds, right? I hate to always talk about colonization. I hate to talk about it.
Well, you have to.
Yeah, because we're
that's the root of the problem.
Here? Yes, how did we get here? So like I said, at one point earlier, I realized that once African countries started getting their independence, and I know that those first revolutionary leaders tried this, to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, let's pick up from where we left off from before we were colonized.
Yeah.
Like, how far did we get in our own evolution? Let's bring all of that information, wisdom, science, technology, history, culture, spirituality, all that to the table, and now chart a new way forward. Like, build upon that. And they did try, but they got interrupted by foreign powers. So our curriculums were supposed to be Afrocentric. I should go to a school in Africa or in the diaspora, right? After the MLK movement, also write everything, right? So Black HBCUs and all that. The curriculums were supposed to be inward facing. Like, who are we? What are our strengths and weaknesses? What are our challenges? And how can we solve them based on who we are, right? So if the curriculums had been Afrocentric, then yes, you'll be graduating people who know all this. Of course, I know the plants to go pluck and use for my malaria medicine or for my headaches. Of course, it would build my ancestors knew this. And of course, I know that my buildings should be green and sustainable and cool, and I should be using materials that are local, that are modern and local, not importing stuff that we can't afford or we can't maintain, or doesn't tell our story. That was the issue, was the curriculums. So my challenge, my number one challenge has been reprogramming people's minds, teaching, talking. That's how I became a teacher, right? Teaching that we should come from a different perspective. That's the biggest challenge. And the second one, of course, would be if I had convinced enough people with the right amount of money and power, then we'd be getting clients who are saying, yeah, my house has to be proudly Yoruba, proudly Igbo. Yes, my restaurant needs to reflect my culture. The government house in my state needs to be the Hilton or whatever. If you come into Africa, it's going to be African centered. Yeah. Yes, our cultural centers, all the buildings should be, because the clients would have been reprogrammed. But how much time does it take to reprogram your clients, which is the everyday person? How much time and effort does it take to reprogram the professionals to change the curriculums in schools.
Yeah.
Those are the challenges.
So one of my questions I had for you when I was looking at your floor plans was, does this set somewhat up for like security issues or like a nosy neighbor or oh, what they have going on? But what you just said is exactly where this kind of stuff needs to be shining through, which is government buildings, schools, plazas, to start and normalize out. I think so. It depends on where you are, what you can afford. Because I know someone who does not have like tight security, or you're like living somewhere normal, I personally would be proud to have a very cool house. Not cool, but a different house. But I do understand the African like evil eye thought of uniformity. It's just there has to be a lot of breaking down of things for
Yes.
this to become a normalization in culture as well.
Yes.
Because those first few who take those steps, like you might be like, I don't want people looking at my nice house thinking I got it, thinking, oh, what's up over there? But I do think places like restaurants are great to start, like schools, government officials, people who have. But do you understand kind of what I'm saying?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Of course. Because security is such an issue in Africa, right? In America, we have 911. Here, we don't. So everybody has to have this big old fence and wall with barbed wire on top,
Yeah.
and a security guard with a gun at the gate, right? So
The dogs.
and the dogs.
I'm kidding.
Well, sometimes some people, yes, big ones, right? So, security, yes, that's become an issue. So you're busy hiding your house, hiding, and you're
Yeah.
locking yourself
Literally.
behind your own personal prison.
Literally.
Yeah, yeah.
I have asked my husband, like, even he gets upset when the curtains are open past, like when the sun is going down. Am I ever going to be able to watch a sunset from my couch, like without you saying that we have security problems? Like, it's very annoying.
Yeah. That's become part of the cultural landscape.
Which makes like it limited for the like glass ceiling to floor vibe.
Yeah. Hard to have glass floor to ceiling because of the heat. The heat's gonna be
Okay,
coming in, so
that's
that's
true
one.
too.
Yeah.
But that's true.
But that vibe, I mean, from the States, we love the outdoors. You want to see outside. You want to see the views.
You don't even care if you see people in the street too much.
Mm-mm.
You don't
Here,
care.
it's all about privacy. We're hiding ourselves.
Yeah.
Or security. So yeah, how do you incorporate that into the architecture and still celebrate it? So but yeah, if you have to have a beautiful building behind a fence for now, hopefully one day security issues will be resolved where
We
you
knock
don't
the fence down.
knock the fence down.
And truly, the building is not for others, it's for you.
Yeah.
And sustainability as well, which is one thing that I love about a lot of the floor plans. Like, it truly involves outdoor, like what we're doing now.
We outdoors.
You know, we're outside and the breeze is okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what I love about many of those floor plans. And I envision myself on the river.
Yes, it's very possible. It can be done. Take care of security issues, but yes, Africans always celebrated the outdoors. That's why every home had that interior courtyard space. The interior courtyard was open to the sky. It was you're bringing the outside in. We did celebrate nature. God was in nature, right? And so, getting to a point again where we can come up with floor plans that really do bring the courtyard back, because the European designs that we use now don't have courtyards because that wasn't their thing.
Yeah.
They were trying to keep themselves warm. So if we can get the courtyard feature back in, that could help with the security issues of having gates that block you from nature, but you brought nature into your house.
Yeah. Did you all have that courtyard in there before you came?
This building,
Yeah.
we were just lucky that this house had a courtyard.
It knew you were gonna be here.
They knew.
They knew. How would you say that this program and your mentees, how have you prepared them to work toe to toe with large global firms and sharing that knowledge once they leave here?
Okay, so what typically happens is after we train a lot of our interns, they actually end up moving abroad. Would you say that that's a good thing or a bad thing? It's good because they do need to see other spaces and see how things work. They need to be exposed. They need to know that they need to experience what's supposed to happen. If you go to school, you're supposed to graduate and get a job. And in Africa, there are not a lot of jobs because we have not been allowed to industrialize, and that's part of the agreements that were made back during the colonial era. Africa should not industrialize. It should be the place where you come and get raw materials, and then other countries would take them and finish them, and then sell them back. Sell them back. The double. Right. So that's where all the jobs are. So unfortunately, here we go to school and we don't realize why we come out and there are no jobs. Okay. So I get it that they need the opportunity to go and work in a system that they were trained to work in their education here, but there's no opportunity here. Yeah. I get that. And good. May they go and come back and bring what they've learned to Africa. The negative is it does hurt when you pour into the next generation and they leave. Yeah. Have you seen cases of them returning? They can't return. Once you get to America, Canada, Europe, wherever it is, Russia, China, wherever you're moving to, it's going to take you 20, 30 years. Would you say that's what happened with you? I was lucky that I moved to the US at 14. Okay. So by the time I had done my 20 years in America, I was still young enough to come back. Yeah. So if you want to leave Africa at age 20 or 30, it's going to take you 20, 30 years over there for you fight. And by that time, you may be too old to come back. You may not be able to fit in. The energy, what it takes to now fight through the African situations on ground, you probably, I can't do this. But if you could go when you're a teenager and come back in your 20s, 30s max, then you have the energy. Yeah. Go through what it's going to take. I feel like by that retirement age, people just don't even care. They can't. All they can do now is sit there and then wait to come back here, pass away, and be buried, which is what happens. Yeah. That's a part of the plan. Building your home. Your home in the village where they going to be buried. What has been one of the most powerful, like, proof moments where you just know that everything that you're doing is worth it? Like, I feel this is why. Yeah, when I now hear the word Afrocentric, like, come out of everybody's mouth, like on TV, around trendsetter. Okay, that was my life poured into that word. Okay, Afrocentric. So even if they may have been doing that, like in the fashion for or other areas of the creative arts, they wouldn't say the word Afrocentric. So now they're saying Afrocentric. What would they say? Just culture, our fashion, our designs, our ashoke, our whatever. Okay. But now Afrocentric fashion, Afrocentric cuisine, Afrocentric music, Afrocentric film, and especially Afrocentric architecture. So now I'm hearing that word everywhere. I have graduated and influenced enough architects that now I can actually go around and see their work, that they actually got these buildings built, and now their clients are seeing them and appreciating. That's just amazing. The fact that now the curriculum, the NUC, Nigerian University Commission, has actually said now that 30% of the curriculum can be whatever the school wants it to be. So if a school wants that curriculum to have Afrocentric content, then they can do that. Wow. That's a major. So 70% can be your typical Eurocentric, and your 30% could be Afrocentric or whatever else you want it to be. So I'm happy about that. Glad to see my students' work. The word is trending all over the place. People know CPDI Africa all over. I'm happy. I love that. What would your students say about you as a professor? So, what would your students say that they have walked away with? When I teach African and African American studies, my students there's so much for us to know and celebrate, that we talk about the struggle, how we've gotten to where we are. A lot of the heroes and sheroes that fought for us. Those stories are missing a lot of times. And I bring that to the table. And they just can't believe, "Oh, we did not know this. We did not know that we came from such amazing stock.
Yeah.
Strong people and warriors, fighters, philosophers, scientists, and on and on and on."
Yeah.
So they love that, and I encourage them, and they're like trying to see now how they see me bringing my blackness to my profession. They want to bring their blackness to their profession, so they're excited. When I teach Afrocentric architecture, the architecture students are just like, they just have not thought of the built environment from that perspective, the way African people really were in harmony with nature. We didn't do things to subdue. We didn't pour tar all over her and have her suffocate.
Yeah.
Right? The way
Integrating, immersing,
Yes.
instead of covering.
Yes. They take that and they're like, wow, we really are supposed to be celebrating nature. It's not all about us.
But all of this stuff is actually like a nothing new under the sun. People, because now it's sustainable.
Right.
Compost.
That's yeah.
Homesteading.
Old school African stuff. Yeah.
Like,
Now trending.
yeah, come with me.
Yes.
To my open courtyard.
With different names, but it's our stuff. Which is why we have to always remember that we did this. This is ours. We did contribute a whole lot to the world that other people are getting credit for. So my architecture students take what I teach them and take that information to their other classes, and their professors are like, wow,
astounded.
Where did you get that from? And like, oh, Professor O.
I love that.
They call me Professor O.
So good. I know that it must be so fulfilling for you as a African daughter and a Black American daughter as well to connect the dots through teaching as well. Like, there's no greater contextualization through experience, knowledge. Like, that's why I think that it's the perfect job for you as well, because sometimes it does feel I did have an African American studies teacher at Howard, and I feel like sometimes like he just was missing the mark. The mark was really missed sometimes. I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say, but I don't know. I love that for you.
Connecting the dots is very important. For us in the diaspora, is very important. Our story did not start with slavery. When I talk about the fact that, where do I start? The people that were captured and taken to build America were not just farmers. And even if they were farmers, their relationship with the land, thousands of years of understanding how to take care of the land, right? But the people that were captured were doctors, lawyers, priests, moms, dads, kids, chiefs, chefs, warriors, teachers, scientists. They captured everybody. And those are the people that were taken there. So connecting them back to that memory and showing them evidence of it. Like when I go to museums around Nigeria and see the evidence of the people, the cultures that were taken 500 years ago, people think, oh, do we have no memory of who we were? No, there's memory. And I'm like, we were so powerful, we're so amazing, we're so civilized, we're advanced. This is why America and Europe is.
Yeah.
They took all this stuff, right? So connecting the African story with the diaspora story is powerful. It just connects the dots. And then if you want to go all the way back to the pyramids, you can. I mean, the greatest. I mean, the Greeks and the Romans and the British all came, conquered, and took from Egypt, renamed everything, and made it their own. Pythagorean theorem, the father of science, and all this. They were all Africans, and then the Greeks took it and put their names on it.
Yeah.
Right? So connecting the dots is so powerful because it gives us our dignity back.
Yeah.
And now you can stand and conquer the world.
Yeah. I felt that way when I learned about the Moors in Spain, and we are the reason why Europeans wipe their butt and wash their hands, which is crazy.
Okay.
It gets crazy. What elements of modern do you see in your floor plans? Like, what are some examples of like, this is really
Contemporary.
yeah.
Um, just the fact that the functionality of the spaces is how we live today.
Okay.
You know, you're still gonna have your kitchen on the inside.
Car park and
Car park, you have all of that. I'm going to bring in the courtyards. I'm going to bring in some other cultural elements, but the basic plans are still how you live your contemporary life. When I talk about culture in Africa, right? So your typical traditional African compound was a bunch of rooms around a courtyard, right? So there's a room for the father and there are rooms for the many wives because culturally in Africa, polygamy was the norm, right? So you may not design a house today that's like that because most of us now are monogamous, one man, one wife. So you can have a master bedroom for the husband and wife. That's very contemporary. But traditionally, the man has his own bedroom and each wife has her own. And
I've seen some houses in Matama that are very Hausa coded and
yes,
have like 6 master bedrooms.
okay. So sometimes in contemporary African architecture, you will see Olga's room, which is the husband's room, and then Madame's room.
But that's very like client centered probably. And I'm like, someone probably requested or
Yes.
it's just not norm.
Yes, yes. It is not. But you're seeing it more and more often now. Olga's room and Madame's bedroom, just so that they can have their space, whether he's polygamous or not. We are actually used to having our own space. And in America now, when you see the man's cave, he needs a space where he can go down and just clear his head. It's his own space. That's actually an Africanism that's coming through in just regular human culture. It actually brings the divorce rate down. You need your space.
I turned the BQ into Shola's man cave.
Really?
I swear.
Yeah.
In our room upstairs, the way that our house is built crazy. Brains and hammers is out here moving crazy. The room was too small. So I actually knocked down all the rooms on the third floor and made it a master suite so that he can have his own closet area and bathroom and his and her suite because I want to stay married.
Look at that. Look at that.
And we're flourishing.
Look at that.
No, it's awful. Yeah, you cannot. And I appreciate that from people need space. Really, you do. You do. So
you're so African.
Like, Lord, how do you navigate between global investors who come like wanting to change a floor plan? Is that something if you buy a floor plan or how do you kind of
Okay. So yeah, a lot of our diaspora buyers would come and do just like what you did. I've done it in my apartments, start redesigning stuff, just to make it more functional, more comfortable. But the service that we're offering now is because so most Nigerian estates, they'll use the same floor plan for like every single house. It's being neat and tidy and all that. Well, I think it's a missed opportunity because if you're going to have 500 houses in an estate and only let one architect eat from that design, you're shooting yourself in the foot. That's 500 architects who should have had an opportunity to design 500 different houses. But okay, so what we're doing at CPDI is saying you can buy a house in a standard Nigerian estate, but you can bring your floor plan to us and we'll Africanize it.
Okay, yeah, because I was gonna ask a lot of things that I did not see were like duplex or very small. Say you don't have a lot of land.
So 450 square meters, can't say what that is right now in square feet. It's like a standard estate plot.
Okay.
It's not big. So you're trying to squeeze a 4 or 5 bedroom duplex on this piece of land. If you can go up three levels. But anyway, with that, how can I still redesign that floor plan so it's more comfortable or I can include some Afrocentric features? For me, that means put him back in the courtyard, whether it's in the house or it's on top of the roof, you're gonna have a courtyard. You're gonna have some green space. Redesigning those bathrooms, taking out those bathtubs. We don't really do baths in Africa. We do showers. So taking out jacuzzis and baths, maybe you can leave it in
I do
in the
not have
master.
one bathtub in my house.
You see, you see. Putting in features that just drive up the cost that you don't use.
But you know what's crazy? Here it's marketed as a jacuzzi.
Yes,
Like
because it's supposed to be luxury.
a bathtub? When I did Airbnb and it said jacuzzi. So I'm thinking like, oh, jacuzzi. It was a bathtub with jets in it.
Right, right. So there's a different understanding, you know. And so for us coming from out, this is the question. It's like, how do we design spaces that are really comfortable for us?
Yeah.
That are contemporary, yet have some cultural features because we want that, right? We're not coming to see replicas of America or London or wherever here. What is that modern African design that we could do?
Is it cheaper to build things in a European centered way? What is the disconnect?
So it's not cheaper, especially if you're importing a lot of your materials from out. It's not cheaper if you're using cement, which is part of our colonial heritage, to use cement buildings. It's not cheaper because now you got to buy air conditions and a whole lot of diesel to keep your home cool.
So many of these designs do not really require.
Yeah, so if it's Afrocentric, it's definitely going to be cooler because at least 50% of the building materials are going to be green, which is clay, adobe, earth, mud, whatever you want to call it, laterite. That material is perfect for Africa because it keeps the heat out, right? So your costs are going to come down because you're using less to keep the house cool. Your costs could come down if you're lucky enough to have good laterite on your own soil that you can now turn that into your bricks. And then the other features that we would add, the courtyards and all, to keep the house cooler.
Okay. Is your bread and butter mainly the floor plans, or do you kind of assist throughout? Like, what is that process from someone engaging in a floor plan to like finishing the building usually?
Okay, so right now we are transitioning from being educators and advocates for Afrocentric design. We're transitioning now into real estate development. So we've been designing and teaching architects how to design, right? So which is also why we have our global studio, right? People can take courses in Afrocentric architecture. So now,
is this online or here?
Online and now on campus.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're transitioning. So by 2026, look to see us now going really into real estate, where we're going, we're buying, we're building the Africanized version of the plots, the plans that we're buying, to actually selling floor plans. We have so many designs. So somebody can now come through and look through our catalog of designs. Okay, I want something that is from Mali or that's inspired by the Bamako culture or, you know, the Zulu culture. And they can look through and they can find a design like that and say, okay, I want that and I'll buy that. When I have some land, I'll build, or I already have my land, I will build.
You say your target audience is?
Two. First, the diaspora. Those of us that are now coming home, we're getting our citizenship again on the continent. Those of us that are coming home that are proud to be from home, who are really trying to connect to heritage and culture, something that Africans on ground take for granted. I'm from here, that's not what that means. Okay, but those in the diaspora are like, I really want to know where I'm from. I really want to connect. I really want to come and invest in something that celebrates who I am. So the diaspora is one. And then the second is that sector of the Nigerian or the African community who is proud of who they are, who are saying, yeah, I don't want the standard European, lots of glass, cement, and steel, hot, hot, hot. I really do want something that tells my story. I want my friends to come to my house and say, wow, this is amazing. This is Shakiri design. I'm proudly Shakiri. Yes. Right. So, two.
Are these floor plans also workable for people who want to build them in other countries? other continents.
Definitely, definitely. So, like I said, right, the diaspora is like fiercely connecting back to their identity. There are 3 Africa towns being built in America right now. So, yes, any of our designs can be built in America, in Europe, in Asia, wherever you are. Yes, you might want to take into consideration a few things, right? You might not have access to all the materials that we would use in Africa, but the functionality, the heritage preservation, the aesthetics, you can even wrap in the spirituality. These plans can work anywhere in the world, anywhere. As a matter of fact, like I said, they work there faster than they will here because a lot of the zoning, the building codes here are still anti-African.
Really? Can you go in there for me with that? I don't know too much about zoning. I always get worried when I'm driving and I see construction workers not fully protected, and it makes me feel like it's loose. How is the zoning construction process here as far as your experience with these floor planning, and
Okay.
is it difficult? Do you have to get it approved?
Okay. First thing you say when you see workers not totally kitted out, for safety, they should be, but it's not. A lot of things are not enforced. We know what we're supposed to do, but don't always enforce it. With the planning, um, our building codes and so much has to be updated. We're still operating with what was left by the colonial era. Those days, as in our case, Nigeria, the British were our colonizers. As they bulldoze our villages, we were forced to rebuild with their floor plans and their materials. So we were importing cement from them then. Now we make our own cement. It was actually on the books that to build with clay or mud or green materials was illegal.
That's crazy.
So we have to go through and change our building policies, do like what they're doing in Ethiopia, where in order for you to get a building permit, right, and you submit your designs to their development control, if they don't see evidence of cultural preservation, of sustainable local green materials,
Wow,
you're not going to get your approval.
that's awesome.
So we got to the whole Africa needs to get there, right? Where we're changing our policies and the way we think to make it work for us, not for somebody else's benefit. We're supposed to be independent nations now. So
yeah, and interdependent.
That would be great.
As well
That
as a
would be
goal.
great.
What has your relationship been with the African University of Science and Technology?
It's been wonderful. AUST is actually a Mandela Institute. There are 3 of them on the continent. Mandela said that there should be centers of excellence in Africa where African bright minds could go and come up with African solutions for African problems, as opposed to going to Harvard, Oxford, and from there, Mason Road, right? Jack Ryan, as we say here, and never coming back. So, African University of Science and Technology, when I met them about a decade ago, they were really, really impressed with CPDI because CPDI was about African solutions in the built environment for African challenges, affordability, the correct materials, the functionality of floor plans, and of course, heritage preservation. So their invitation for me to be here, for us to have our MOU, to have this building, the Mandela House, to use it as our showroom, as our research center, it's been great. And the fact that they're now about to start a faculty of architecture, it's just great. So we get to be incorporated into the curriculum. It's a blessing.
Y'all, this building it's such a good vibe. And I like that you have students who like hang out. That's an indicator of being comfortable, being inspired. And it's really awesome. I think that this whole campus has a lot of potential.
It does. It does. It's got a massive footprint, lots of land, lots of opportunity for development. More programs are going to be starting. We're going to see lots more students.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh, that's a good one. In 5 years, I should have several projects under my belt in terms of this Afrocentric architecture. Lots of projects to point to. And I will spend more of my time connecting the diaspora to the continent. Come home through CPDI. Having a home on ground, if you can solve that, then you're back. The challenge that everybody has is I don't have a house there. I don't want to go there and be living with family
Rent.
or
Girl, this Abuja ain't cheap.
Yeah, rent or living in a hotel. So I'd really want to be in a space where I'm just daily connecting the diaspora back to the continent.
Yeah.
Through architecture and culture.
Where do you see Abuja in 5 years, architecture wise? Or do you see the difference being vast, not vast?
The town planners are really struggling, but they're putting up a good fight trying to maintain the master plan that was designed for the city. So I'm hoping that we have more and more ministers that will come on and stick to it, keep the green spaces,
Yeah.
develop more mixed use areas, decentralize phase 1, go to phase, because it's 4 phases, go to phase 2, 3, and 4, and create other hubs, other downtowns
Throughout.
throughout.
So if you don't, that's one thing I love about Atlanta.
Mm,
You don't have to go downtown. Actually, downtown is ick, right? You don't have to do that because you have your Smyrna is its own thing.
Smyrna,
right?
yeah, Bucket.
Like everywhere is its own thing.
Yeah,
Very sustainable within itself.
Yeah.
And like I just wish Abuja was not so Wuse centered.
Right.
Maitama centered. Like, well, how far am I from town? I've asked, do you work in town? Why do you need to be in town?
Yeah.
But it's like,
yeah. It's foresight, it's vision. And the master plan does make space for there to be different nodes of downtown activities. Let's develop that. Let's do it.
Okay, so before we wrap this up, I do just have some personal questions.
Okay.
What did your exit from Atlanta look like, girl? Like, what was just that, like, you know what? I'm done. Like, I'm out of here. I'm out.
After I graduated from Clark Atlanta University, which is an HBCU, I graduated with my master's in African American Studies. The only thing that was in my head was, okay, so you understand Black situation, the Black issue. Go and fix Africa.
Yeah, like, what am I going to do with this?
Yes. What am I going to do? Go and fix Africa.
What about, some people might be like, well, what about the African American issues?
African
in America.
So we're everywhere, right? So not everybody. So everybody. So you have to decide as a Black person, where are you going to fight your battle? Is it in the diaspora because we need help in the diaspora, or is it on the continent? Go to the continent. The knowledge that your power and your wealth and your resources, your money, your everything is in Africa.
Yeah.
If Africa were in control of its resources, African diaspora would be like what T'Challa was trying to do at the end of part 1, when he was like, I'm going to give you my sister. The wealth of Africa will now begin to build African American space like heaven. Realize that because our strength and our numbers and our wealth was in Africa, if I could be a part of the team, the movement that was trying to get control of our resources, then things could change faster. Then Africa will be paradise. Africans in the diaspora will have options. I was taken from here forcefully. I don't have to stay where they took me to. I can actually come back and live my best life on my own continent.
Yeah.
Or sponsor, because now Africa will be wealthy, we'll be in control of our resources, then we can invest in African American space, in Afro-Brazilian space, in Haiti and Jamaica. We could give money because we have the money, we have the resources, we control. But until Africa is truly free, Black people anywhere are not free.
Was there any emotional, like, resistance or like uncertainty that you felt leaving, though? Because even though you might feel really like immersed in that mission, and just were you just tired of America as well? Did you not feel any type of like
No, because I think I'd spent about maybe 20 years at that time in America, from age 14 if 14, actually, I moved back to Nigeria successfully at 37. So I had spent upwards of 20 years enjoying the best of America. How many houses did I have? I was investing in real estate. You change a new car every 2 years. How many hamburgers are you going to eat? How many malls are you going to go visit? Well, I had, as I said, I had enjoyed America. So I wasn't going to
Chop, they finish.
you know, right? Chop and finish. I had
Yeah.
enjoyed America. So like, okay, yeah. So I can go to Nigeria and take on this new, amazing, exciting challenge. But because I'm also an American, I knew I could always go back to America every 3-4 months. You gotta go back to America, get a hit of America because you need it. You need it, right?
Grounds.
Yes.
Touch grace.
Okay. Because the struggle is real in Africa. So
what was your biggest challenge that you faced moving back, just mentally?
I think, wow, it's a good one. Mentally, I think that's coming back to this thing about my operating system being American and realizing that I was not a real Nigerian. Culturally,
you're going to be othered.
I was othered. And
but do you speak pidgin?
Yeah.
Like, you sound like a real
pidgin. I can do it, yes.
So if you go to the market and you're speaking pidgin.
And I'm not going to go to the market.
Okay. Nobody wants to go to the market, y'all. I love going to the market.
My mom loved going to the market. I don't get it. Why am I haggling? Just what is the price? So
it's fun a little for me. It's entertaining.
And I need a beautiful environment. The markets are not as beautiful as they need to be. And I hate that because markets are women's.
So farmers market.
So farmers market in America, right?
Yeah.
One in Atlanta is right.
Yeah.
So Miriam Kamara, the lady architect I mentioned, her big thing was designing these beautiful markets, like open markets, and she would use construction to look like trees instead of the umbrellas or just sitting out.
Okay, I'm seeing the vid. It is very unaesthetically pleasing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So the experience going to the market is just horrible. You're hot, you're sweating, you're having to
looking at your feet. Walking.
Put on a mean face so you can haggle the best price. That's not an experience for me.
Okay, I get it.
Okay. So I didn't feel othered as a Nigerian in America because I am African American and I've got the two, I can switch, right? What I didn't like about America was racism. But being othered as a Nigerian in the African American community, that was not a problem for me at all. I fit. I was an American with this funny name.
Yeah.
In Nigeria, I eventually quickly realized they could spot me a mile away. When I do talk, even when I talk with my Nigerian accent, I still sound American. The way I'm behaving and thinking is not from around here. I'm thinking too next level. Like, we gotta fix this. We gotta do this. We gotta. And people here, this is the norm. This is how they survive and eat. And I'm trying to get people to change how they do what they do. I'm coming here to mess up the system.
Yeah.
So,
like, a leak in my house will not faze my husband. And I'm like so ached. And can we please, like, it's leaking. Do you not hear it, care? And he's like, it's crazy.
When I first moved here, my first job was to manage Seti Plaza. It was the first mall in Abuja.
I love Seti.
Thank you. It was brand new, just built. And the owner, when he was interviewing me, the interview was to walk floor by floor and point out to him things that were not done properly in the construction. So, first floor, I pointed, second floor, third floor, he was like, nah, you got the job. My eye was still so American, so perfect that I could see the small flaws that a typical Nigerian would just never see.
Maybe he didn't even see it.
Girl.
He was like, damn, that's it.
No. So he was a returnee himself. So and that's why he was bringing me on. Because like, I know she's going to get what I'm talking about and she's going to keep my mall top level. Yeah. I love that family. I don't know if I should mention their names, but Amazing family. They have a lot of property and businesses around Nigeria. If I were given that interview today, 18 years later, I probably would fail because now I don't see anything.
It's self-preservation mentally, though.
Oh, you have got to close your eyes,
Yeah.
turn the blind, ignore it, whatever.
You'll drive yourself insane.
You will go mad.
Yeah.
Is it falling? Is it really falling off? I didn't see.
Until it's on my head, we're just gonna vibe. No, seriously. That's how it is, unfortunately. And I battle with this because I'm like, will you see change? But also, will you ever be the change if you are stressing about it either?
Yeah.
And then you just die from stroke. You know?
Girl.
It's still nothing has changed.
Right.
So is this my Achilles heel? Like, is this what I want to? There's a balance.
So you have to pick and choose what you're going to fight, what you're going to fight for. Okay, fine. All this is falling apart, but I'm going to focus on this.
Yeah.
This is where I'm going to make my mark. That's your area. You focus on that. You. So that you'll be able to go to sleep at night.
Exactly.
So you won't get on blood pressure tablets.
How was your family, like, in Atlanta when you said, I'm out?
My family knows me for being the one that's just, she's not going to be normal. She's not going to be ordinary. So my siblings are still in the U.S. My parents had retired and moved to the village. So at least they were in the village, but I moved to Abuja. They were like, wow, Madi, why are you always, I'm the first kid in my house. We're all very creative, but I take things to another level. So I moved to Nigeria, and even now they're like, "You're still there?"
Yeah.
Security issues are going through the roof. Marley, when are you gonna come back? I'm like, nah, I'm gonna stick it out.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stick it out.
Have you ever thought about moving to a different country?
People have advised me, go to Ghana, go to Kenya, go to somewhere where they're actually trying to make more progress than Nigeria. But I can't do it because this is my country. It is my country. It's where God put me. So I'm going to be here. And then the other thing is, I don't want to go through the learning curve. I've been here 20 years, almost 20 years. It's hard to make new friends, to enter a new community. And I will now go somewhere else and start from the beginning. I'll just stay here.
Yeah, that is understandable. What would you like to ask from my watchers? How can we support you, love on you? What do you have for us?
Oh, wow. I would say listen to my story, learn from it, know that it's possible, know that it's rewarding, to connect to our ancestry, to our roots. And then, of course, when it comes to architecture, when you're ready to build your dream home or business, definitely reach out to us. We would love to come up with something really creative with you. And then come home through me, through my organization, through our working together. Come home, come experience. And there are many ways that you can connect back to the continent. You don't have to come here and live here permanently. You can visit. You can have your kids come on summer vacation. Yes, if you marry a Nigerian like my mom did also and have kids, that having kids now bridges
so many gaps.
Yes,
Yeah.
it connects the two. Landing in Nigeria, you got to have community. You got to have somebody who's helping you to show you the ropes so that you can have that soft landing. It's going to take you a couple of years to really integrate and then begin to branch out.
Are you there?
18 years in.
Ooh.
18 years in.
Well, y'all, this is not going to be the last time that y'all see her. We're going to keep checking up. And I'll keep being in this space as well. So thank you for watching. I love you guys so much. And